Welcome back, Deborah, from the Wyoming Stable Token Commission. I hope I got that right.
Yes,
welcome to our show here. How's your conference going so far?
So far, so good.
Good. Tell us a little bit about your journey into crypto. I know you were at DYFS. We'll get back into that in a minute, but go ahead.
Well, I started at NYDFS back in 2013, and before that, I was a federal prosecutor with the U.S. Department of Justice Antitrust Division. I was there for over 10 years, and my voyage into crypto actually started with Girl Scout cookies.
Interesting.
No, I don't think you need to explain that. It's just perfectly.
It's funny how Girl Scout cookies got to where I am today, but when I started at DFS, as you know, they were beginning the bit license regime. So I had a curiosity about it generally, sat in on the bit license hearing. So I kind of learned about Bitcoin and the whole blockchain through that way. But I didn't really get seriously involved until, as I said, due to Girl Scout cookies.
When was this? What year?
This would have been, I think, 2017, 2018 time period. 2017. I have many hats, and one of them is a Girl Scout troop leader, and I was selling cookies in my office, and my office neighbor at the time, he bought 10 boxes. So, of course, he became my favorite customer, and we started talking, and he was the first individual brought on board to really create what we now have today, a virtual currency group within DFS. And he asked me if I knew about crypto. So yeah, I knew about crypto. I've been hearing about it, but not more high level. He loaned me a book on blockchain and crypto, kind of get me up to speed. Then he invited me to a blockchain analytics training. He did offer me a position to transfer into his unit. I declined after a lot of thought, but fast forward to 2020 when we had the Twitter hack back in 2020, where someone did a social engineering scheme to gain access to Twitter's blue check box. Apparently, it was in a lockbox, and only certain people had access to it. And
this was for the DFS Twitter handle?
No, this was for any Twitter. They were able to take over the verified accounts of some key people, like
I think
Obama.
Multiple accounts, yeah.
Living and Dead, like Extension. I always like to use his name as an example because he had died, but he still had an active verified Twitter account. And it was essentially saying, you know, if you give me 100 Bitcoin, I'll double it.
Right.
And some people did actually send because they were influenced by the blue check mark, and DFS was tasked by the governor at that time to investigate. I was asked to join because I had an investigative background as a former federal prosecutor, and they asked me to join, and I was onboarded, and I worked there until last year.
Oh, wow. So very recently. So I broke the news today that MoonPay just got their bit license from the NYDFS. So, but it's rare, right? I mean, it's probably the toughest state regulatory regime in New York, you know, for a reason, because you guys have, you know, lots of checks and balances, a lot of crypto companies.
Financial industry.
Right, exactly. Wall Street. A lot of crypto companies actively avoid New York just so they don't have to deal with all the complications.
And I wonder how they're doing.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's really interesting. So then what brought you to Wyoming Stable Token Commission?
Well, I met a friend of mine who introduced me to the executive director, Anthony Apollo. We met and had to go through a pretty rigorous interview process that included being interviewed by the governor of Wyoming, which I thought was pretty cool because I never met the governor of New York. So I figured this is
Governor Gordon, right?
I've never met a governor, so what the heck? So that was pretty exciting and terrifying at the same time, but they brought me on board, and I've been having a wonderful stretch experience.
What's your focus now as part of the stable token? I mean, they are in the process of launching a stable token. And so what is your role in getting that accomplished?
Well, my first task that was handed to me was to work on rulemaking, which is to draft regulations on reserve management. So what I did when I started was to look at every major regulatory framework that had a stable token component, whether it was Singapore, whether it was MiCA, China, Taiwan, whatever countries had some, however small of a compliance program. I wanted to see how that looked. And as a state entity, and who takes the position that we are not subject to any of the laws, at least in the United States, but we also want to be good partners and good neighbors and not just put a product out there that is not with not in the same standards as other stablecoin and token issues.
Is this yet another innovation from the state of Wyoming? Are there any other states in the United States that are working on this? Yeah.
Talking about it, but
you have a whole flock of firsts in Wyoming.
When we launch, we'll be the first state-issued stable token issuer. So I'm pretty excited about that.
How is it going to work?
Well, it's going to work like any other stable token. It's going to be U.S. dollar backed. It will be and
open to retail purchases and
not necessarily. I mean, because we're a small, we're a small but mighty group. There are 5 of us that is basically launching this pretty impressive program. So the decision at this point is to do like B2B2C, where we would have a business intermediary or licensed service provider that will provide the support and services to the retail customers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to
that would be a private entity,
yes.
Like a bank.
Yes. And I just wanted to add that everything that we're doing is subject to the Wyoming Stable Token Act, which is kind of like the culmination of 43 legislative pieces that have been enacted by the legislature for a 4 or 5 year period.
It was passed into law, and now it's the governor's responsibility to put it into action, right?
Yes. Well, the Governor Gordon is the chairman of the Stable Token Commission. Yes. So yes, it is. And our goal is to launch this summer.
Is he going to be the first person to buy a stable token from Wyoming?
He should be.
Here's my dollar.
He should be. I mean, it'll be a great discussion. It'll be a great when we announce and launch. It would be great. I might be the second person to buy.
What's the primary use case?
This show is being brought to you by our sponsor, Trueflation. Professional investors and economists and probably any casual observers know that government inflation statistics are only an approximation of what real inflation is. Not only that, but the government has a conflict of interest because high inflation can be so damaging to the economy, the deficit, and our $36 trillion in debt. Trueflation collects over 80 million pricing data points. Most are updated daily to reveal inflation with precision for asset managers, governments, companies, and the general public. Check them out at trueflation.com.
Ever get the macro call right and still lose money? That's because it was already priced in. But now with Interactive Broker's Forecast Trader, you can actually predict the outcome itself. CPI, Fed hikes, election results, all of it. This platform was built by an entrepreneur from Hungary who came here with no English, taught himself to code, snuck a computer onto the trading floor in the 1980s, and ever since he's been building technology for you, not Wall Street. Global markets, Bitcoin, and low fees. Click the link, try it out. Interactive Brokers just gets it.
We have been having those discussions. We obviously recognize that once the token is in the wild, it can go wherever.
Wild, I love that.
That's fine. Once it's in the wild, it's
up in the mountains, the Grand Teton.
Yeah.
Right. It's exactly. It can go around Rushmore on its way to Taiwan, Taipei. So we see some use cases similar to like other stable token issuers being used in the DeFi spaces as a vehicle. We also see retailers using our coin, particularly the Wyoming citizens, who can go to their local shop and buy with what we call it the WYST token, Wyoming Stable Token, but that's not the real name. That's just the name that we're providing. The real name will be forthcoming.
Okay. Oh, we have a name coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Oh, all right.
We do have a few names. So
Okay.
yeah, we have not
Landed on one yet.
we have not landed on it. Well, it has been decided, but I'm going to wait. I will wait.
There will be a public disclosure.
Yeah, I'll let Governor Gordon decide.
And this is not dependent on the U.S. federal government passing legislation
No.
for stablecoins.
The Stable Genius Act, which I did not get the joke until even last month. I'm usually pretty good at catching a pun, but I did not really pick up on the Stable and Genius Acts. But yes, we are, again, the commission. I don't speak for the commissioners themselves, but the it is my understanding that the stable token or the Genius and the Stable Acts do not apply to the state of Wyoming, but it applies to private issuers.
Mhm. Speaking of private issuers, something cool that the governor mentioned at DC blockchain event back in March, he said that the goal for this was to operate much more like cash as opposed to some crypto stablecoin issuers who actually prevent some of their customers buying certain things with stablecoins. So for example, like firearms or cannabis, right? But Anthony and the governor said that this goal of the Wyoming Stable Token is to act much more like cash to kind of, break down those barriers. Is that,
Not a CBDC.
Not a
So
CBDC,
it's
exactly.
Not a controlled CBDC.
It's not a CBDC.
Yeah.
We are discussing the possible use cases, recognizing that private entities can restrict certain how this token can be used.
Right.
We recognize as a state entity, we're subject to certain state and federal constitutional restrictions. So we're having those discussions presently as to what we can restrict and what we can allow.
What's the example of that?
Like guns.
Right.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I would think Wyoming would not have a problem with
But there are, if you look at
it's the federal regulations.
if you look at certain terms and uses, like terms and conditions from certain stablecoin issuers, they do prohibit using their stable tokens for the purchases
Yep.
of cannabis, guns, so on.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I meant the one in Wyoming. I meant yours. Are there examples of things that?
Oh, other examples that would be prohibitive I've just threw guns
Yep.
out there. Cannabis is another example I think that's used.
Okay.
We're still looking at all the other, there is like a laundry list of prohibitive uses, and we're going like line by line.
Oh, because the coin can be used outside of Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I got it. Got it.
Maybe I should have started with there, the Wyoming.
You did. You did start. You said it can go. It could be. You
It's
said-
wild.
It's
Why?
wild.
That's why I said,
I was thinking
take a left at,
Got it.
Mount
Yeah.
Rushmore. Start local, but we're thinking global.
I understand. Yeah.
And is this just an ease of use for, at least at first, for Wyoming citizens, kind of to bring them on chain, to kind of get them familiarized with stable tokens?
Yeah, that is our goal. I mean, we are putting together an education blitzkrieg, for lack of a better word, to really educate the Wyoming citizens as what's a Bitcoin, what's a blockchain, what is these things that they're using their tax monies to, support this initiative.
Right.
Let them have some involvement, see if they are willing to use the Wyoming stable token to pay for their taxes, to buy. We're seeing, and I think one of the commissioners, she was the general counsel for Circle. And she has said on more than one occasion, Commissioner Naves, that just like when you go to a store, you have cash in your wallet, you may have a credit card, you may have a debit card. We just see WYST token as another payment mechanism. And that is what we're envisioning, where our goal is to encourage, particularly in the retail space, to have that WYST as an option, as no different than cash or your credit card.
Amazing. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
Excited.
Well, come back on when we have a launch, maybe a name. We'd love to.
There is a name.
There is a name.
There
When we
is a
have a
name.
public name, when it's
Well,
announced
you could-
publicly.
If you want to tell us now, that'd be great.
That would be cool too. I'm actually coming, Crypto in America is coming to Wyoming for the SALT conference
Yeah.
in August. So
Talking about that today, and I might be there myself. So
Awesome.
absolutely.
cool. All right, Deborah, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
You too.
You too. Good luck.
Yes.
We're proud to be sponsored by Foundation.xyz. They've created Passport, one of the top-rated Bitcoin hardware wallets, proudly made in the USA. It's fully open source and air-gapped, meaning your Bitcoin stays completely offline and secure. The shocking Bybit exchange hack shows why holding some Bitcoin offline diversifies risk. Now they're launching Passport Prime, your all-in-one solution for not only Bitcoin, but all passwords and 2FA security. Head to foundation.xyz to secure your digital future. Hey, if you like this clip, please hit the subscribe button. You might also want to check out some of the clips I've posted with my many other guests. My interviews all address the simple question, How screwed are we? We ask experts about the problems that make Americans so pessimistic today, but we also explore why there's never been a better time to have been born than today. Join us for perspective on today's challenges and opportunities.